Okay, so yeah, so we have how many today? Six students for senior class, and I think some of you were not uh, in all the past weeks. I think the last 2 weeks ago, I think we were trying to do the class, but I think we were all busy, I guess, so we had to postpone it to January 9th. Can anybody remember what we uh, done last time? Before I jump into that, uh, Varsha, how are you? Do you know all of these friends here? Are they friends? I don't
I'm
know.
good, and and I've seen some of you in the videos I
You met
watch.
some of them before?
Yeah, and I know
So you,
Tasha and Obindu and Obini. I kind of remember you. I remember Seth, but I do not know Tiakaya.
okay. Uh, Tarsha?
Yes.
Okay. Just a second. Okay. So yeah, I was thinking about okay, what was the lesson we did last time? I think Deelaka was not here, Seth was not here too, I guess. Ovindu, remember?
Uh, I'm pretty sure we did the production of media.
Video. Okay. So what we've been doing so far was that studying the Buddha, uh, especially about what he had to fulfill in order to become the Buddha. We call the time as the Bodhisattva, the time that he fulfilled his perfections. There are perfections. So we've been doing each perfection, call it pāramīta. Dana, Sila, Dana means generosity, Sila means morality, then Nekkhamma means renunciation, Panya means wisdom, and Virya means, I would say, energy. And then today we are supposed to do Dana, Sila, and Nekkhamma. Panya, Virya, and Panchama, khanti. Khanti means patience. Patience. So khanti, Khanti. Probably I can. Here you can see it's Pali word. This one. So this is the Pali word for khanti, so patience. So although patience is such a very kind of a very day-to-day virtue that we all have to carry, but there's something interesting about patience. Uh, yeah, Varsha, I mean, as a as your first class, I mean, what are your thoughts about patience? I mean, in general sense, what do you think patience is in your own way? Before we jump into the Buddha's, Bodhisattva's way to become a Buddha.
I think patience is more like a kind
I
of a
have a
moral.
problem in.
Hmm?
Can you like turn up your like the audio? I don't know.
Can you
Is it
hear
my
me?
problem here? I have turned up everything. Uh, you have a mic. Like is that your headphone?
Yes, I have
Ah,
my
should be okay.
headphones.
Yeah.
Um, Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, can manage. Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to speak louder.
Okay.
I think patience is very much like a moral. It is a way of kind of um, keeping yourself. Yeah, patience is basically the sort of skill to be able to wait and not dive into things head first. I think patience is a virtue because you normally need patience if you want to go on with life, if you're stuck in a line or if you're doing work or whatever you're doing. I feel like patience is a way of keeping yourself together. I think that's what I think
Mhm.
of patience as.
Yeah. Tarush?
I think patience is like, you know, I think patience is like, how to bring yourself forward. You need to, I don't know how to explain it.
What's
I
the kind of patience you practice in your life?
like waiting for something instead
Waiting,
of
waiting.
bringing yourself to something or jumping
Mhm.
things.
Is waiting a killing game? Huh? Sometimes can wait for meals, for some of the achievements, trips.
Yes.
It's waiting game. It's a waiting game sometimes. Ovini, I always ask you questions, but today we have others. What is patient to you?
Oh, well, patience is, for me, I would say just like waiting for something or like not diving into stuff. Uh, it's just something that you really need in life because like Varsha said, like you really need it. Like waiting in a line or something like that, like you need patience all the time.
Dirika? Dirika, how's your trip to Sri Lanka? When did you come?
I came like 4 days ago.
Okay,
The trip was good.
good trip.
That was good. I was staying at home a lot, but it was pretty good.
I saw you were singing with somebody. I don't know from where, like a
Sorry?
band or something. You were singing with somebody, like a band, like playing instruments.
Oh yeah,
What was
that
it?
was my cousin. I was yeah,
Okay.
that was for the Christmas concert. That was me and my cousin. He
Okay.
played drums, so we did it for a little jam. So
Mhm.
that was that. But yeah, for patience, what I think like what everyone was saying, uh patient like stuff doesn't come in life. It's nothing is instantaneous, right? Everything takes time. So people have to adjust with that, and patience is just one of those ways. So if you have patience, I think you can basically conquer life. So that's one of the first thresholds of life. It's very
Okay.
important.
Yeah, set.
Yeah, I mostly agree with everyone here. Like, it's like waiting for, like, not jumping into things and waiting for the right moment, like, or the right opportunity to present itself. Yeah, and
Right
yeah.
opportunity to present. Mhm. Yeah. Ovini.
I would say patience. It's not necessarily just in waiting itself because you can wait for like anything, right? Even if it's like not important. Like say there's a difference between patience and being lazy. Like say you have a really important assignment for school, but you just wait and don't do it. That's called being lazy, not patience. Patience is more like self-restraint. It's when like you can get better results if you wait but you don't want to wait. So you're restraining yourself, you're setting boundaries before you actually like put in the physical effort to wait and then get your get whatever is in the end.
Okay. Now, I wanted the problem here is whether we take patience as a standalone practice, or is it something that has to practice with a complementary kind of stuff. For example, I would say mindfulness. Practicing, uh, you know, practicing what do you call staying in the present uh, moment without being judgmental is always something that goes with other complementary things, right? Sila, like, right? It's not just like you being present and everything is okay, right? So it's always tied in with other small things. So like, yeah, if we look at some examples, like if you we had to see some examples to look at the kind of patient we talk about, right? So do you have any thoughts? Anybody has any thoughts about some of the very common things that we need to be patient? Then maybe we can go from there. Like the circumstances where we are supposed to be patient, from a daily life to the spiritual aspect after to the Buddha. Any thoughts? Yeah, Varsha?
I'd say that there are many types of patients. Like, there's the type of patients where you need to deal with other people.
Varsha, I'm
So,
having a hard time
oh,
in hearing you. Can you just check your mic close to you? Probably this wire or something? Your headphone wire? You have a wire? It's a Bluetooth.
I can
Just
take off my
others can
headphones.
hear very well? Oh, really?
Can you hear me?
I think the same.
Oh, wow.
Probably it hasn't been paired to your headphone.
The speaker. I don't know where the speaker is in my headphones. I think.
Yeah, can you keep talking? Probably maybe.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. So I just want to say that I think there are many types of patients because there's a type of patients where you're dealing with other people, such as like when you're when you're talking to someone who's difficult to talk to, and you just have to wait for the right moment to say what you want to say and then kind of hear out what they want to say as well. And then I think there's also the type of patients where you need to be patient about, like, there's the physical patients as well as like actually just restraining yourself from going anywhere. But there's also the type of patients where you kind of have to wait and see what's happening before taking action. Patience doesn't necessarily mean where you don't take action at all and you just
Mhm.
wait. That kind of like how Ovindu said, that's being lazy. I think it's all about basically waiting for the right moment for something to come and kind of waiting to see what's going to happen and then putting your actions later.
Yeah, that's a very good point, right? So that means we need a bit of wisdom also, right, to understand the right moment, to be patient. Why am I being patient for? Wisdom, and then probably mindfulness also. I had to be patient now. So understanding now comes from mindfulness, right? That's why I was trying to say that's a complementary kind of a practice. Like, um, okay, so going going to talk about, let's talk about the house. In your uh, I mean I would say conversations with your parents. Sometimes do you think you run out of your patience with your parents? Does that happen to you? Looks like it is. So what are the steps you have already taken? Do you think it's a problem, or do you just let it go the way how it is taken? What are the steps you've taken already?
I mean, for me, every time I kind of like get mad, I remember that your parents usually know better. So then I like restrain myself, of course. And then I always remember that they're doing it for my own good. And then,
Okay.
yeah.
So you had this larger, broader belief that they're
Mm.
doing this for the sake of goodness. Uh, yeah, but is there some room for you to add something if things getting so heated?
Mm, some, not really.
Not really. Yeah, it's good if we have, right? Not that you're gonna teach them, right?
Mhm.
This is what I think. Uh, well, okay, slowly. How about the others? What are the steps you've taken, to minimize some situations with your elders. Yeah, Barsha.
Often for me, I normally kind of go and give myself some time so that I could kind of go through things by myself and organize what's happening. Then often I feel like I should apologize for how I reacted to the situation. So that way I'm showing that I understand what they said and that I would take in what they're saying. Often, kind of like Govinda said, I normally know that what they're saying is for better. And often I never really get into heated situations because I try to avoid it at all costs. But normally, if that happens, I just go upstairs to my room and kind of work things out and then apologize, and then everything gets better.
Yeah, I think oftentimes what we can see is that we trying to be very quick to react to what they say. This is the problem. Reactions, responses are better than reactions, right? Because reactions are very what do you call automatic. I guess we react. We don't like it, and hit back, right? The Buddhist response is not a reaction. We always have to respond by looking at what can happen. And Buddha always asks us to think and then speak, right? Think and speak, right? Think and act, not just do just because it came to your mind. Tarusha, you have any thoughts?
Well, when I get really heated, I just take a few deep breaths and I
Oh, deep breaths, okay.
apologize. And I
That's another
just
good way.
take some time for myself.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, because although you are thinking, you are thinking to say something, but before that we have to relax us, right? Right? Take some deep breaths and then just to remind us, we have to take time, that's related to patience, right? Set.
So generally, if I get like frustrated with my parents or something, I would just try to talk it out with them, but also like not talk it out in a way that's like me getting annoyed with them, just trying to talk it out like to understand where they're coming from, which helps like the situation.
Are you looking for a deal or something?
No, yeah, just
Not a deal, like you're trying to probably what if that in Sri Lankan culture sometimes the parents don't like children question them a lot. Probably they don't like. Probably they don't want to ask hear that why this why question. You know this is something right.
yeah. I think my parents are fine with it though if I ask them why. So
Oh,
yeah.
kind of give a kind of a reasonable explanation about why you
Yeah.
ask. Obini?
Well, for me, like my brother said, I usually like know that our parents are no more than us. They've lived longer than us. They've gone through what we've gone through. And so I usually know that they're right. But in the worst case scenario, if I know that I'm like absolutely right and I'm 100% sure, then I would like listen to what they say. And then later I would go on to them and like say what I think, and like not in a mean way, but just ask like, and I would try to solve the problem.
Does that mean that you think that you have to be very submissive to parents at any cost, no matter what? Like depending on that you trust in them, that they have more experiences. Yeah, I mean that we trust them. Yeah, but we were asking, what do you do like when you think that you are almost going to run out of patience? I mean, things can like that can happen. So as Ovindu said that yeah, we trust them, we believe them that they have more experiences. But in the right case scenario, uh, as a person who is not arahant yet, right? We all. So how do you manage that frustration, sadness when that happens, right? As Tarsha said, deep breaths are very nice, interesting ways of dealing with that in the first place. Before we thinking whether they experience, whether they know, what are your personal ways of taking that pressure I don't know, this pressure or whatever. Avini? No thoughts?
Well, I mean, like Tarusha said, I could take deep breaths, or I could think about it for a while, and like,
No, I'm asking, you've been having a certain practice? I mean, not that kind of a suggested thing, as Tarusha said. Okay. Tarusha, see, your suggestion work. Well, I was going to talk about it actually, but anyway, came up. Yeah, deep breaths. Okay, who else? Dilaka?
Yeah, again, like what everyone is saying, I always like to think that parents never want to do any harm to their children, right? If they say something, it's always for our own good. So with that thought in mind, obviously, I just take a step back and let them say what they have to say, because obviously it has to be something good. And then if Ominagi was saying, if I'm like 100% sure that I might be right about something, obviously like I'm not going to argue with them at the like while like the heat is still going on. I'd go back late, like at some time later, and then explain to them my theory on why I'm right. So, and if that's successful,
Right and
sorry.
great. So right, yeah, right. Being right can be different from one to one, right? So, for example, parents might be right in their own way, can be right in their own way. So we can be differently right, we can be differently wrong, can be differently good, differently bad, right?
Yeah.
But the society, I mean, different societies, probably many saying that you have to be good this way only, right? Kind of branding everybody this way. So we have to be very careful. Anyways, so let's jump into the Buddha's life. I was trying to, get you to understand patience in your general life, daily life. Okay, so let's talk about the Bodhisattva, because Bodhisattva is the Buddha's previous time before he became the Buddha. So Bodhisattva is a Bodhi aspirant, someone who's trying to become the Buddha. So how did Bodhisattva fulfill patience? And we already talk about that every Bodhisattva has to fulfill each perfection in how many ways? 3 ways. That's very interesting. That means now khanti, right? Khanti means patience. Khanti has to be practiced, patience has to be practiced in 3 ways. Number 1, khanti pāramī. That means simple khanti pāramī, simple patience perfection. That means Bodhisattva has to fulfill patience by donating, probably by donating what one owns. Are there times that we may have to do the same? Sometimes we may have to let go the stuff we have, just to be patient. Otherwise, we might be in trouble. We might be not even in trouble. Probably we do it, right? Because we don't care about it. We just leave stuff like that, depending on how we like or how things go. So khanti pāramī means, uh, you know, uh, regardless of what you have physically, you are going to practice patience. And khanti upaparami is the second parami, the second one. That means even something happens to, I mean, you don't try it out, because the thing is, it's a different thing only for the bodhisattvas. Even something happens to your physical organs, you are trying to be patient. Now, for example, kind of a blood donation. Huh? Not everybody can do blood donation, I guess, right? Get fainted, dizzy, probably you may have some other blood issues, right? But there may be somebody who wants to do it, and then sacrificing one's, bodily organs. That person is still want to be patient, still wanted to do that. So that is khanti upapara. Finally, khanti paramattha, sacrificing one's whole life, one is practicing patience. Sometimes there are events, times where bodhisattvas actually they sacrifice, they risk their life to practice patience. I'm not asking you to do that. It's a bit of dangerous thing unless you are a bodhisattva in the samsara. For normal folks like us, we only try the first one because that can help us understand this concept a little bit more. Yeah, Neelam?
Sorry, Hamadun. I have a class at 3 o'clock. Is it okay if I leave?
Yeah,
I'll
sure.
watch the recording after my class.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Thank you. Good Sunday.
So yeah, so these are the three types of khanti, patience. I would say perfection about patience. Any questions about it? Any question about the previous perfections? Generosity, morality, renunciation, wisdom. Yeah, Basha?
I know this may seem kind of like a dumb question, but my question is, why do the bodhisattvas do this in three parts, and like why do they do it differently from other people?
What was it? Why do?
Why do the bodhisattvas do it in three parts?
Okay, great.
And why do they do it differently from other people?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we answered in our first class or first or second classes. Now, okay, now perfections, we call it paramita. Now, every person who becomes enlightened in Buddhism has to fulfill paramitas. Okay, if you want to be an arahant, like a normal disciple, like arahant, then you have to practice only 10 paramitas. Just the names of these 10: dana, sila, nekkhamma, so on and so forth. If you want to become a Pacheka Buddha, uh, that person has to practice the first two of the paramita: dana parami, dana upaparami, sila parami, sila parama. Not the paramatma. Okay. If you want to become a full Buddha, like our Shakyamuni, Gautama Buddha, you have to practice three parts of every paramita. The reason is it's not about enlightenment, just the normal enlightenment, because that person has to become a full Buddha. In order to become a full Buddha, one has to practice each paramita in three ways, because that is a kind of a prerequisite. Because it is a prerequisite, they have to fulfill 10 paramita in three ways. So the number of paramitas, perfections, bodhisattvas, I mean, those fully Buddha aspirants practice is going to be 30. Pacheka Buddha is going to be 20. Normal arahants going to be 10. Yeah, so that is how it works, actually.
Thank you.
Sarusha, do you get, I don't know whether you get what we've been talking today, and
Yeah, I do understand.
Mhm. Ovini, any questions about Ovini? So the time of the bodhisattva can be different. Each bodhisattva takes a different amount of time. And we also talked about Theravada and Mahayana two ways. So we are Theravada, right? So our tradition. But there is a different other tradition called Mahayana. They came after Theravada. In the Mahayana practice, they ask their devotees to become full Buddhas. Don't become an Arahant. That's interesting, huh? Because in Theravada, we say we have three ways to become enlightened. You can become an Arahant, Pacheka Buddha, Sammasambuddha. But in Mahayana, they say no, don't become Arahant, Pacheka Buddha. You try to become a full Buddha. We all can become full Buddhas. That's a different way of looking at it. There's a very fine point here actually. I don't know whether how reasonable is it to share. Now, looking at the practice of the both Theravada and Mahayana, we can see that in Theravada there is a huge competition in becoming an arahant. Like devotees, they want to become an arahant. You know this term called Nivan Soya, right? At the end of every ceremony, they say Nivan Soya, right? So there are different thoughts going on around this thing. Uh, because if you want to become a Buddha, you have to be very altruistic, help other people also. Now, I don't know, I mean, that happens in the same way how we practice, how many practice uh, Theravada practices, because it's different. It's like I do my thing and I don't care other people, right? It can happen there. So it's becoming a little selfish. So we have to help other people too. Now in Mahayana Buddhism, we have this way. We want to help everyone. I don't know when I'm going to attain the full Buddhahood, but I wanted to help because that is also a part of patience, right? Because you have to be able to be patient, right? Not that I only want to get it. Yeah, Varsha?
My question is, when was Buddhism first formed? Like, I know it's before Jesus Christ, but I
Yeah,
don't
good question.
remember the date.
Okay, few days ago we had a new year. How do we call it? How do we call this new year? 20?
2022.
2022. How do we take it? How do we take 2022? What's the way of taking it? Is it from what? Is it? I mean, what's the basis of this 2022? It's a number.
Birth of Christ.
First century. It's from the time of the Jesus Christ. So then the Buddha lived 600 years before. So we call it BC. This one called is AD, right? This is called AD. How do you call it in English? This abbreviation, Anno Domini.
Anno Domini.
Huh?
Anno Domini.
Anno Domini. So that is AD, and then BC is before Christ. So the Buddha lived 6 centuries before Jesus Christ. So when you ask me when was Buddhism born or whatever, I could say the Buddha, I mean, the kind of Buddhism that we follow, we practice now, was started at the time of the Shakyamuni Buddha. Shakyamuni Buddha was actually supposed to have lived in the 6 BCE time, 6 BCE time before Christ. So yeah, and you have another way of measuring that. We call it Buddha Varsha. Have you heard that? We take it from the Buddha's death, demise, great death, to the Vesak Day. I think now it adds up to, I guess, 2000, almost 600 or something. Yeah, so it's pretty easy, right? So to the 2022, add another 600 years, right? So that's the number. So the kind of Buddhism that we practice now, I mean, the whole Buddhism, Mahayana, everything came out of this Buddhism. It was practiced in the 6th century BCE. Yeah, so 600 years before the Jesus Christ was born. That's an interesting question, right? About the chronology, the time. Okay, so we will wrap this up now because Bhante Sumedhi is going to teach you the rest. I guess he's going to teach you Mangala Sutta, 38 auspicious things that you can do to make your life a better place, like a better life this new year. And I hope that you will learn a lot. Okay, so he's going to teach from now up until go. Probably we take 5 minutes of break uh, just to get things comfortable. Okay. Okay. So you have a good day.